Hi, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss. My co-host today is Dr. Dan Ratner. My guest today, you might know him from The Sopranos. He also has a podcast called Talking Sopranos, and he's on Blue Bloods that premieres its new episodes October 1st. Let's welcome Steve Schirripa. Steve, welcome to the show.
Ross, what's happening, pal? How are you?
So before we talk about The Sopranos, I don't want to bore you with that, or your, we'll talk about Blue Bloods and everything else. I want to talk to you about NBA basketball. I know you're a basketball fan. What's your take on the Knicks? What's your take on the series with the Suns and Bucks? What's going on with you in the NBA?
Listen, I'm not a I'm a fan, like a watching fan, but I'm not a technical, statistical guy. The Knicks, the city really needed the Knicks to do better, and they did. They stepped up. We're still a player or two shy, which hopefully now, after showing that they could win in New York, and the city is beyond ecstatic. I mean, the bar was set so low, so the city was behind them 1,000%. So I think that might help bring a couple of players here.
Yeah,
So
the
that
rumor
was
is
really good for the city. I
the
mean,
rumor
really,
is
really.
Damian Lillard might be traded or might sign with you guys. That's the big rumor. I mean, Dr. Dan
There's
can tell you
always
about it too.
rumors. What I do like about it, though, Ross, seriously, we were so bad for so long. No one wanted to come here. It was kind of toxic, but I think it shows with the right coach, the right front office, things are clicking. The Garden was fucking packed as soon as it could be. The whole city's behind them, so I think that's a good thing to maybe bring some players. Uh, I've been watching. I never watched so much basketball than this playoffs because I was in California and I was really nothing else on. So I followed the playoffs all the way through. I like Phoenix. The one game I went to this year at the Garden was against Phoenix. They broke the Knicks 9-game winning streak. I think Phoenix is going to win. It's been great. I like Booker a lot. They got a really good team, of course, Chris Paul, and I think they got a really good team. And it's been a lot of fun watching. I mean, we're in the middle of fucking July. We're still basketball. I mean, it's gone a little long, to be honest. But usually, I think it ends in June. But I guess
Well, they
because
got
of
the late
COVID,
they got the late start, so it's going to be a while.
yeah.
But I
But
think
it's
you're
good.
right.
It's good. I look forward to the fall. I look forward to the new season. See what the Knicks can come up with. Thibodeau's a great coach. He's got them motivated. So,
But
you
you're
know,
you're you're a Brooklyn guy, right? You grew up
I'm
in
a
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn guy, but not the Nets. Forget the Nets.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when
Yeah.
you were growing up, just like when I was growing up, they were the New Jersey Nets. It's not
Yeah,
like they're
yeah, yeah,
Brooklyn
yeah.
Nets.
I'm not. I went once. I went once years ago when they played the Knicks. I'm not a Net fan. I mean, they got a good team. Obviously, they spent a lot of money, and it's good for Brooklyn. It's good for that area, the Barclays Center. I think it's all positive. I don't hate the Nets, but I'm not rooting for them. You know?
Just so you know, Steve, Dan's family had a lot to do with about the Barclays Center. They're in real estate development, and they
Oh yeah. Is that your
actually
father, the Ratner?
My father's cousin is Bruce Ratner, who
Bruce Ratner.
was
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Well, he did a great thing for that part of Brooklyn. I mean, that area is all built up. I mean, that was the shit back then. You couldn't walk down there when I was a kid. You had to be careful.
Actually,
So,
Steve, I'll tell you a funny story. When I moved to Brooklyn in 2004, and they were just starting the Atlantic Yards project, and there were picketing. There was picketing because some people
yeah.
really didn't want this, and so I had just moved there, and I see signs that say "Ratner, go home," and I was like, I just got here. What?
Thought it was you, yeah. But you know what? Are you related to Michael Ratner? Hank Ratner was the CEO of the Garden.
I am not. I'm related to a Michael Ratner, but not that Michael
Not
Ratner.
that Michael Ratner. He's a
So,
friend of mine
Steve,
for a long
I don't know
time.
if people know this about you. I do. You played basketball in college at Brooklyn College, and you're actually, I mean, you actually are a really good basketball player. I played with you in Vegas, and we played against some big names. I mean, you were living in Vegas. I was there visiting, and you took me to your gym. And tell us about some of the names you played against. And I mean, your skill set in basketball is up there. You're good.
Well, it was good. I'm old. That's a long time ago. But I played in college. I was going to go play in Israel. I'm a half a Jew, you know that. And I was going to go, I tried out for an Israeli team when I graduated, and they wanted me to work on a kibbutz while which didn't sound great to me, so I headed to Vegas. But they wanted me to play and work on a kibbutz, and I headed to Vegas instead. There was a place called the Sporting House, which was probably the best run, and I've played everywhere in New York, all over the city. I played in West 4th Street and up at Rutgers and et cetera, all the famous places. Probably the best run that I ever saw was behind the old Stardust, which is now Resorts. It just opened. It was called the Sporting House, and everyone was there. I know Greg Anthony from when he was in high school. Larry Johnson worked there when he came out of junior college. So all these guys were there. It's now a strip club. It's called Sapphires.
Sure.
So you got it became a strip club.
I heard about it. I've never been there. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you haven't, Ross. I gave you a bunch of singles, remember? But so it was a great run. I mean, there was pros there, Ricky Sobers and
Steve Kerr was there. I guarded Steve Kerr with you. And
everybody was there. Well, Matt Othick played with Steve Kerr in college.
Yeah,
and Matt was always down there.
Arizona.
Matt played with the Spurs a little bit. Tarkanian was there. All these cats were there. There would be a game at lunch, which wasn't as good, but the governor played in this one and that one, and then there'll be another game at about 3:30, 4 o'clock. And how they would do it was there would be like two teams, UNLV guy on each team, then the second tier, third, fourth, fifth. I was always the second guy because they balanced it out. I'll tell you this, though. Greg Anthony, no matter who his other four guys would fucking always win. Greg Anthony would always win. There was another guy played at Oklahoma, Alan Holder. There was all kinds of pros, and it was really an incredible run that I got. And I got so much better after I graduated college. I also lived in Hawaii. They got a lot of good basketball players. There's so many colleges there. You'll be amazed in Hawaii how many good ball players there are. A ton. So that was good, but I haven't played in years, man.
But I'm amazed. You were basically the second pick on these teams. It was the UNLV
on these
guys,
teams. I was the second pick. Yeah, I could play. There was another guy, Jamie. He played in the Final Four with Wichita. Oh shit! I can't. I'm going blank here. But there was so many. There was a lot of guys from University. What was it? Kerr played at University of Arizona.
Kerr played Arizona. He was there. We had.
The other guy, Sean, whatever, was there.
Sean was there. When I was there, I played a few times with you. You took me. Thank you for doing that. The talent that was there was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Gerald Patio played with Cleveland. He was there. Like I said, all these UNLV
all these guys.
Danny Tarkanian. Danny Tarkanian, who played for his father. Yep. He was a tough fucking white guy. Tough. Took no shit from nobody. He didn't get he wasn't pro material, didn't get the accolades, but tough. Who played? Tyson played.
Mike Tyson?
Mike Tyson played. He's not basketball. Let's put it this way: basketball ain't Mike Tyson's thing. Who played a lot? Tommy Hearns. I played against Tommy.
Hearns is a good athlete.
Hearns. He could play.
He's a good athlete. Detroit kid. He's 6 feet. He can play. Great
he played. Tommy Hearns, John Hearns. Woody Harrelson came down, thought he was better than he was when he was doing, what's the movie with
White
Demi Moore?
White Man Can't Jump.
Yeah, but he did a movie with Demi Moore in Vegas called Indecent Proposal.
Indecent Proposal.
Yep.
Well, he was doing that. He was at the gym every day.
That's great.
Who's the guy that, Hall of Famer, center, had a kidney problem, had to retire? Tell me his name. Played in the early 2000s.
Dan? I don't know.
Who would that be?
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But again, it was unbelievable talent. Steve, you and I first met in Vegas. And I don't know if people know this, but you worked in Vegas and you wore a tuxedo every day to work. And you're famous for that tuxedo. And you tell everybody what you did in Vegas.
Well, I ran the Improv. I worked for the Riviera Hotel. I started out when 1986 in May. I remember meeting Bud Freeman, your stepfather, and there was a bunch of chairs, and he said, we're going to make a showroom. I didn't even know who Bud was, and we made a little showroom, and for the first 6 months, it sucked. Nobody came, 20 people, 30 people. The opening night was Rich Scheidner, Bobby Slayton, Tommy Sledge, and Marty Polio. Those were the 4 comics. There was 4 comics every night, 3 shows a night, right? 7 nights a week. And we did that, and then it got very popular, very busy, and just about everyone came through there, from Ellen DeGeneres and Rosie O'Donnell to Bill Maher to Richard Belzer, and on and on and on. Drew Carey and da. Then I took over the other showrooms, Crazy Girls and Lacage. Then the Improv was gone, and it became the Riviera Comedy Club, and I became the entertainment director, where I booked a lot of comics in the big room. Ray Romano for the first time, Drew Carey for the first time, Jeff Dunham for the first time, George Wallace, I could go on and on, Dennis Leary in the big room.
Right.
They had played Vegas, but not there. Ray Romano, Kevin James, Rob Schneider, David Spade, George Lopez in the big room. So we had our handle on comedy, and then, the other hotels would snatch them up, after they were there once. But most guys came back twice for me.
Yeah.
I said, please, just give me a second. Damon Wayans kept coming back. Paulie Shaw.
I
Damon
remember
Wayans,
the shows. And
Dale Hughley, they all came back, most of them, except for one guy. And
who is that one
Who
guy?
was that? We got to know this.
David Spade didn't come back.
He went to Arizona State with me.
I like David. He's a friend of mine, but he was the one guy, for whatever reason, didn't come back. Everyone else gave me that, okay, I'm taking a shot with you the first time. Just give me one more time and then go off and make a lot of money, So Jackie Martling from the Stern Show at the time. So we did all that. And then I was fucking around. Bruce Baum asked me to be in one of his sketches. It was called Sunday Night Comics, and I did that.
Right.
Got the acting bug. Carol Barlow was booking the show, put me in a few of these things.
Still works.
Fox.
I know Carol.
Ross was a manager at the time. He helped me get into some movie, right? What movie you helped me get
I got you. I was working on Denial. I was with Adam Rifkin. I was managing Madam with Brad.
They changed the name of it at one point.
But also, do you remember? I used to pick you up at the airport when I was either in high school or college, and I would take you to Up All Night with Rhonda Shear.
That's right.
And you, Steve. Anytime comics came in and they met Steve, they always put him in in their bits.
But I learned, from those little shit things.
I guess you were so smart doing that.
It
was unbelievable how you just anytime anybody said, "Well, I have this small part," will you do it? Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, they were shit things, but that's where you learn how to hit your mark.
Steve, I use your name all the time as an example how you should make it in Hollywood.
Yeah, thanks. You how you hit your mark, how you do this. Yeah. All the stuff they don't teach you in acting school, right? So I did all these shit things, didn't get paid for most of them. The Adam Rifkin thing I got paid, and Adam put me in 2 other of his movies. One, a pretty good part. At one point, the Detroit Rock City. I got the poster right there.
Detroit Rock City with Kiss, yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
And I made the poster. I was very proud of that.
Let me see. That's great. I seen that poster before.
Kevin Corrigan, 1997. Kevin Corrigan, we wind up working together on Blue Bloods. Kevin Corrigan has done 125 movies. We started small and doing that shit. Ross would pick me up, but also another comic, Kip Adada.
Sure.
He would pick me up. He helped me. Jerry Minor helped me. Stanley Ullman, but his car was so shitty that I was afraid to go in it. He had no fucking windows, no air conditioning. But Kip Adada, I would say, Kip, if you pick me up, next time you work Vegas, I'll give you an extra $200. That's what I would pay him with. Whatever he was making. Say, I'll give you an extra 200. I'll give you an extra 300. Pick me up. But he was good for me. He used to give me pep talk and wait for me for the auditions, So that's how I started all that. And then, of course, I, went to New York for a wedding and auditioned for The Sopranos, and that was that, But that's how it started out. People think you do these shit things. It taught me, how to talk, how not to yell, how to do this, how not to look in the camera. The second thing I ever did was a little cold opening sketch with Lenny Clark, the comedian. And you could see I looked directly into the camera. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's the second thing I ever did. I go.
I love to get tape on that, Steve. That's unbelievable. And then also when I was at the Tonight Show, one of the first things I did, I don't know if you know this, I gave your tape to Joe Medeiros, the head writer, and I said, we got to use this guy as a correspondent or anything. We should use him now because he got this huge role in the Sopranos. He's going to be huge, and he's great, and he's funny, and he's articulate, and he knows all the comedians. And you were on our show, like...
Yeah, I was on the show. I was on the Tonight Show over 40 times. I was 3 times as a guest.
Yep.
As a second guest, and then I did a ton of bits in The Judgmental Bastard and with Ross the Intern and a whole bunch of, it was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun, Steve. I missed those days.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed those days doing that. And then coming out, we did the bits all over the country and then coming back here, back to LA and, being on with Jay. That was a lot of fun to me. I enjoyed that. I miss those days.
It's not the same anymore. Can we go back to the Riviera days? I wanted the crowd to know if a comic went over time, let's say, when they're on stage in Vegas, and I know you were in charge of that, and the hotel did not like when comics went over time because they want the audience in the casinos. So tell me the pep talk you would tell a comic if they went over 2 minutes.
Well, I would just tell the comic, don't go over, blah, blah, blah.
You didn't say it like that.
Listen to me. I would tell them what I had to tell them, right? And then, of course, there's always fucking smart Alex. So 2 things I would do. I had the microphone in the back of the room. I had the microphone, right? So I would just, as soon as he took a breath, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Ross Mark. All right. So I would do that. Another comic who I love, Franklin Ajayi.
Yeah, very funny.
I absolutely love.
Great guy.
One of my favorites. I haven't talked to him in many years. I knocked on he was late for the show, went up to his hotel, knocked on the door. He came to the door playing the clarinet naked. Playing the clarinet naked. So he would not get off the fucking stage. And I don't know why I didn't use the mic. Maybe I didn't have it at the time. And I just got the keys. I went to the front of the room. I dropped the keys on the stage. I said, lock up when you're done.
That's great.
So there was a lot of that shit. Some comics were late all the time.
Uh-huh.
They were fucking late. The MC, I would say here, the show starts at 8 o'clock, be here at 10 to 8. And you always had those ones that make you sweat it, and then you just don't fucking use them anymore. You know what I mean, Ross? A guy wants to be a dick. Listen, there's a million comics. They're willing to fucking work. They're willing to work cheaper. You don't need no problems. I was too busy to be fucking around. You know what I mean? Just do what I ask. I was never a guy. I tell you what, I was never a guy to say, I don't like that material and don't do this, don't do that. The hotel had certain rules. Don't be too blue. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking get raunchy. You could curse, but don't get stupid. And don't ever knock the hotel. Tim O'Rourke, a comic, I think he passed away, may he rest in peace, went on the air, morning radio, and was talking about how the hotel sucked, how the fucking towel sucked, how it was dirty. I don't know if he made it up, if it was a bit. My boss called me into the office, said, who's this fucking guy you got in the club? This was Friday, like 11 o'clock a.m. I said, he's working. He's a good comic. He's a nice guy. He went, fire him. Why? He's fucking ripping us to shreds on the radio. He did morning radio and thought that was going to be funny. I talked him into letting him stay, but, that was a big no-no. And, you had guys that just couldn't help themselves, so they never come back. Don't be stupid. Go in, do your thing. I never bothered you. Like, I didn't start meddling. Hey, I don't like that material. Instead of that word, remember that guy, Paul Messier, down in San Diego?
Yes.
He used to run that club. He used to tell the comics what was funny.
I never did that either, Steve. I never did that. And I, as you know, I've been involved in comedy a long time.
I know. I never did that. Never. I never said, don't do that. It's not funny. You don't do that.
I never did stuff, but if
we had, listen, I'm not a comic. We had rules.
Yeah, we
don't
did too.
Fuck with the hotel.
Night show. Steve, I want to talk to you about your award-winning, congratulations on the Webby, Talking Sopranos. Tell the audience what the show is, why they should listen, why is it so fun?
It's called Talking Sopranos. It's me and Michael Imperioli. We started at the beginning of COVID. And we do about 200,000 listeners and viewers. It's on YouTube and anywhere where you get your podcasts. We run down, we have guests from the show. Okay, people involved with the show. 98% of the actors we've had on so far. We've had writers, producers, David Chase himself, Terry Winter, Lorraine Bracco, Edie Falco, on and on and on.
Yeah.
And we interview them about their experience with the show. And then we do a rundown of the show, scene by scene, episode by episode. Behind the scene, we give you a peek behind the curtain, what went on, what that scene means, what happened. I remember on the set that day, I remember this happened, that happened. This guy, did you know Jerry Stiller was supposed to be Hesh, played by Jerry Adler? Jerry Stiller got the role, and on a Friday, and over the weekend, he decided to take a commercial. And they were shooting Monday, and he did the commercial, and he would have been Hesh. So we've had the casting people on, and the sound man and the stunt man. And now we do a little segment, Celebrity Superfans. We've had Pete Davidson, Alec Baldwin, and Ricky Gervais, who's on, this week.
This week, yeah.
So, we're also allowing some fans on. Superfan, we had a contest. We had over 10,000 entries.
Wow.
To come and talk to us. So at the end of the year, the show will be over. Right now, we're in season 6, episode 2 or 3, we're up to. And by the end of the year, we'll finish up, and that'll be the end of it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very successful, way more than we ever thought. And we have a book stemming from that called Woke Up This Morning, The Definitive Oral History of the Sopranos, coming out November 2nd. 500 pages. If you're a Soprano fan, it's a must-have.
Steve, I've heard the cast is very close still.
Yes, very close, and you'll see it. If you go on, you'll see that we're all good friends, and it's really like, just 2 or 3 of us sitting down having lunch, bullshitting about old times and their experience. A lot of people auditioned for many roles, didn't get them, and there's so many things that I learned that I don't know. And don't forget, I don't know everyone. I know the main characters, of course, but There's a lot of smaller people that I don't really know.
You never worked with. Yeah, I get it.
Roles,
the amazing thing about that show is it's considered one of the best dramas of all time. It's always on the top 5 list. And that, Breaking Bad, it's 1-2 all the time. But it hasn't been on in 14 years. It's still relevant. And there's a prequel coming out. I've been seeing trailers for the prequel.
Yeah.
Are you in the prequel? Is there any signs of Bobby?
There's nobody in the.
You're not in it. No cameo.
None of the actors are in the prequel. It takes place in 1968. So there's no. There's characters, people playing younger versions. Jim's son, Michael, playing a young Tony Soprano. There's a young Paulie Walnuts, a young Silvio, but there's none of the actors. That's part of the reason we did the podcast. There was a lot of podcasts with people that had nothing to do with the show, and also a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of younger people watching it. People that were too young then, that are in their 20s and late teens and late 20s. There's a lot of Instagram about the costumes and the fashion and the food. There's all kinds of soprano shit going on. So it's very, very popular, the show. It streams numerous places. Back then, only 11 million people had HBO.
Yeah.
Now there's probably many, many millions more could stream it. It's all over the world. On the podcast, we hear from Israel to Saudi Arabia to, it's very big in England and Australia. It's a worldwide phenomenon, honestly. And that's part of the reason we did the podcast, to get the right story out there, So it's amazing. 14 years. It ended in 2007. 2007. 14 years later, it's as popular, if not more popular.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe that? I mean, when I think about 2007, the end of The Sopranos doesn't seem that long ago to me. What's that like for you?
Well, listen, I've done numerous shows, after that. It doesn't seem that long either. I agree, because it's never gone away. It's not one of those shows that, all right, hey, whatever. Gilligan's Island. You never saw it again, or whatever. You know what I mean? This is a show that's always been in front of your face. It's always been up there. People have caught up when they caught up. They binge watch it. We all had to wait every Sunday. Now there was no DVR then. There was none of that stuff then.
No.
So, it's easy access. People, we hear constantly. I've watched it 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. Before we did the podcast, I've seen it once. I hadn't seen it since 2007.
Steve, were you happy with the ending? I have to ask you that.
Yeah, I was happy with the ending. I
too.
think Tony Soprano is alive and well and living in New Jersey. That's my opinion.
I think he's in San Diego, but that's fine. You could say New Jersey. That's okay.
That's fine.
But
I
let's
think
talk about
he's alive and well. That's what I think. I mean, I'll tell you this. 14 years later, barely a day goes by that someone doesn't mention the ending.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had to.
Ross,
I mean, you don't remember endings of hardly any shows.
Yeah.
No.
Hardly any shows. A few, but not many.
Not many. Your show's iconic, Steve. I mean, your show's iconic. And
I think 50 years from now, they'll still be watching the show.
Of course. Steve, let's talk about the current show that you're on, Blue Bloods. Unbelievable. This is your 7th season.
7th season.
It's been on 11 seasons. The new episode premieres.
It's been on. This is the 12th.
12th coming up. October 1st is the premiere. I mean, you work with Tom Selleck. You work with Donnie Wahlberg. Both of them I worked with before. How do you like working on the show? I know you film it in your hometown.
Yeah, the show's great. Couldn't ask for a better situation. I went in to do 1, maybe 2 episodes, and I've done 91 shows. Wow. I couldn't ask for a better situation. I love shooting on the streets of New York. The cast is great. Tom is great. Donnie, Bridget, who I work with all the time. Couldn't ask for a better partner. I've worked with a lot of great actresses. She's as good as anybody. Will Estes is great. Vanessa, Marissa. It's a really good cast, a lot of fun. We don't see each other that much, especially during COVID, but it's great. We start shooting on the 21st. I look forward to, I think we're doing 18 or 20 episodes, and show's a big, big hit. 10, 12 million people every Friday night at 10, a tough time slot. And so I couldn't ask for anything better. They're great writers.
All right, but Steve, before you leave, when people see you on social media, they see you a lot of times with your dog. I just want to hear about. We actually have a picture of it.
Willie.
Oh,
Willie boy.
Willie right there.
There you are. There's
Yeah.
Willie.
Well, here's the picture.
Where is he?
Eating a hot
Hold
dog.
on, let me see. You want me to get him?
Yeah,
Go get
let's
Willie
go
for
get
us.
the real
Wait
Willie.
a second. Hang on.
Free Willie.
The famous Willie. Hold on. Willie boy.
Where'd he go? So, Steve, tell me more about.
And that was the end of the interview. He just left to get Willie and never came back. Oh, I see him. I see him in the reflection.
Coming back.
Hey, say hello to Ross.
Oh,
Hey,
look at
Willie.
that.
Say hello to Uncle Ross, Uncle Dan.
So,
Say hello. Say hello.
what's
You're boring him, Ross.
Willie, why? I'm going to interview Willie now. Willie, you're the star of social media for Steve. Do you get sick of wearing costumes and eating hot dogs when Steve's with you? You just yawned.
He
It has nothing to
yawned
do
at
with
it.
my questions. Unbelievable.
He's probably going, Steve
Who is
is
this guy?
Steve is pimping me out on the fucking, I tell you what, he's a hound. And I mean, I'm not kidding you. If he sees a camera, he's scratching your leg. He wants to get in the picture.
wants-
That's
in there.
great. No, it's
Sweaty,
I love those photos with you and your dog. They're great.
Adorable.
Before
You know,
you
he's a good boy. He's a really good boy.
I had this. I still have. I do buy this. I buy it on Amazon. Uncle Steve's pasta sauce.
I'm out of business. I went out of business.
You went out of business.
We've been out of business for 2 years.
I still have cans of that you sent me at my house, and they're still
Yeah,
good.
the sauce was really good. It was really good.
I
It's just
loved
that,
it.
you know what happened, Ross? We grew too fast.
Yeah.
My partner, who's one of my closest friends, is a wealthy guy, and he wanted to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
You know, he's got money, and he said, we're going to go for the whole shebang. We were in 3,000 stores.
I remember.
We grew too fast. If we would have stayed small, Amazon, mailing, you know, we would have, you know, made a few bucks. It's really hard. It's a hard business.
I still have
Hard to
But the
scale up.
sauce was great, and no one could deny that. It's just he had then fell sick. You know, he was sick, and we just, you know, bailed. And like I said, if we would have stayed small, we could have made a few bucks, had a few. It was fun, but you know, in the end, we went out of business. So what are you gonna do? And another thing, you know, we talked on the podcast at length. I was at your wedding, where Billy Vera. Are you still married?
I'm still married. It's my wife's birthday today, actually.
Tell Kim I said happy
birthday.
birthday. Billy Vera and the Beaters played there. It was a terrific wedding. Black tie. My wife was pregnant.
I remember.
What was it? 1995.
1991.
Oh, my first daughter. She was pregnant with
first
my
daughter.
first daughter, and Milton Berle was there. And I was telling Michael that was the first night. Zoe and you guys told me that he had a big cock. I never knew that.
I tell the story.
And he
Ross
was
tells
known for
that
that.
story
And
all
that
the
was
time.
the first night, and
I
I
tell
laughed
that
all
story-
night long.
Look, you brought it up. I'm going to do it real quick. I know we're running out of time, but I want to tell you a Milton Berle story that involves your old boss Rickless from the Riviera. And you know he was married to Pia Zadora. Remember, he was married to Pia, and we all went down. I was working with Milton back in the day. Did his wife's golf tournament. You remember that? And Milton and I and a few other people, Buddy Arnold, his whole group, we all went to Long Beach Playhouse to see his wife perform as Anne Frank. In you know, she was performing Anne Frank in this play. So she's horrible. And Rickless is there. It's packed. It's like all these fucking, you know, all these guys are there with suits on that look like from the Sopranos. They're all there. And the Nazis knock on the door. Where is Anne Frank? And all of a sudden you hear Milton say, she's in the attic. Because she was so bad, they wanted her to. And like the
Milton
crowd
Berle gave
went
away
nuts.
Anne
The crowd
Frank.
like
Very
laughed.
funny.
People were rolling. It's a serious show. It's not a comedy.
Yeah.
And
That's a funny
It was
story.
just, I mean, Milton was great. And Milton did take me to the bathroom one time and he said, Ross, do you want to have a contest? I'm 23 years old. I said,
The answer to that is always no. When you get taken
yeah,
to the
he
bathroom,
says, want to have a contest? I don't know what contest he's talking about. I said, sure, what is it? He says, I'll show you my cock and you show me yours. And I'll go first. He shows me his cock. No bullshit. His cock goes down to his knee. And
Really?
I thought it was a golf club. I thought it was a joke. I was like looking around, where's the prop guy?
That's funny.
And he has, I mean, Milton, God rest his soul, he had great stories about Marilyn Monroe, Lucille Ball. I mean, he banged all these women back
All
in
of
the
them.
All of them.
But he also was. He showed it off. I'll tell you that, right?
Yeah, he wasn't
Yeah,
shy. This guy was unbelievable. But I mean, I feel so lucky I got to spend like 4 or 5 months with him like every day. I was with him at the fire.
Well, it wasn't for his looks, that's for sure.
Now, Steve, we cannot end. We end about half of our interviews on Milton Berle's cock, but I'm gonna ask you. So you said you're part Jewish. I'm still blown away by the fact that you chose to not go to a kibbutz and ended up going to Vegas. Like that's the biggest shift of all time.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a tough decision.
Are you? You're Italian also?
Yes, I was raised Catholic. I'm Italian. My father was Italian. My mother was raised Jewish. My mother was also more Italian than my father. She was raised basically by Italians in Italian neighborhood. She cooked and cursed and blah, 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 you know.
Well, you fit the part then, and it's a pleasure having you on here. I'm excited to binge some Blue Bloods, to check out the podcast, and keep looking at Willie on
Willie's the
Instagram.
man. I love him to death. He's really, literally like my son. I love him to death. He's a good boy. Good
You
boy.
can see it.
Great talking to you guys. Ross,
Thanks,
great
Steve, for
catching
coming
up.
on. Don't be a stranger.
Hello to your family. You know where to find me. Dan, nice talking to you.